welcome to our YouTube channel. This is me, Nicky Sinha. I really hope that you guys are doing well. And today's topic of discussion is, we will be discussing about the expansion and consolidation of the British rule. And most importantly, we will be discussing the Anglo-Maratha Wars. All right. Now, these are some very tricky questions, very memory based. That is why I thought it is important to know what was happening here, how the wars were fought, what treaties were signed, everything. So let us take a look at the situation of Marathas before the coming in of the Britishers. So Marathas have risen as a formidable force, particularly when the Mughals were declining. But they suffered a heavy defeat in the Third Battle of Panipat in 1761, which gave them a huge blow, and particularly a blow to their ambitions of emerging as an all-India power. So as a result, their strength was actually, starting to decline. Though they managed to regain some of their strength during the reign of Madhav Rao, but after his death, there was a lot of disunity. The Marathas were not united at all. So it was during a succession dispute that the Britishers got a chance to interfere in the affairs of the Marathas. All right. So the Britishers took advantage of what? A succession dispute. Let us take a look at this succession dispute, what it was. Now, Raghunath Rao, who was the uncle of Narayan Rao, he basically wanted to get Narayan Rao killed and claim the position of Peshwa. So Raghunath Rao wanted to become the Peshwa himself, and he decided, let's get Narayan Rao killed and let's become the Peshwa. But other Maratha chiefs did not accept him as the Peshwa and supported Narayan Rao newborn son. Okay, so on one side you have Narayan Rao and his newborn son and the Maratha chiefs. On the other side you have Raghunath Rao. All right, Raghunath Rao basically then appealed to the Britishers and signed a treaty known as the Treaty of Surat. Okay, so when Raghunath Rao could not get what he wanted, he decided to sign a treaty, and that's exactly what he has done here, and he has taken support from the Britishers. So this led to a war between the Maratha chiefs and the Britishers, and it went on for almost 7 years. There were heavy losses on both of the sides. Ultimately, peace was restored by the Treaty of Salbai in 1782. Raghunath Rao was pensioned off, as in he was sent off on British pension. Madhav Rao, who was the son of Narayan Rao, he was accepted as the Peshwa by the Britishers. In return, the Britishers got their claims over Salsette, Durg, etc. Fine. And it was promised that the Marathas would not allow the French to establish their port within the Maratha territory. So what were the treaties? What were the conditions of the treaty? First of all, this was the Treaty of Salbai was signed. Raghunath Rao was pensioned off. Secondly, Madhav Rao was recognized as the Peshwa. The Britishers were given Salsette and Durg. Okay. And fourthly, the Britishers made sure that the Marathas will not have anything to do with the French in their settlements. Okay. So this was your first war. Now let's talk about the second Anglo-Maratha War. This is in 1803-05. Now, the East India Company under Lord Wellesley, so they tried to convince Peshwa Bajirao II that he would sign the subsidiary alliance, but this was rejected by him. Fine. But then he was attacked by Jaswant Rao Holkar. Now, you all know that Marathas were actually being governed by Peshwas and Sardars. So, Sardars, Holkars, Sindhyas, Gaikwads, etc. So, here, Jaswant Rao, who is the Peshwa, was attacked by one of the members of his own confederacy, and that is Jaswant Rao Holkar. So, Peshwa was forced to sign the treaty because he wanted English protection. Thus, the Treaty of Basayan came came to be known, all right, and these were the main conditions. The Peshwa must renounce his claim over Surat and Baroda. The Peshwa could not enter into any treaty or declare war without first consulting the company. These are the conditions of Treaty of Bassein. A British force of around 6,000 troops would be permanently stationed in the territory of the Peshwa. The Peshwa must exclude all other Europeans. So apart from British, all other Europeans would not be there in his services. And the Peshwa would transfer the right to recover Chauth from the Nizam to the British. So initially, Chauth, which was 1/4 of the product, 1/4 of the produce, this was the right to collect it was given to Nizam, but now it would be given to the Britishers. The treaty was obviously disgraceful, and Raghuji Bhosle challenged the Britishers, but again he was defeated, and he had to sign one more treaty, which is the Treaty of Devgaon in 1803. Similarly, the Maratha chiefs failed to present a united front and were defeated separately by the Britishers. So these Maratha chiefs, the Gaikwad, Sindhyas, Holkar, etc., they were independently defeated by the Marathas, independently defeated by the Britishers, and they had to sign independent treaties also. Okay. So Sindhya was forced to sign the Treaty of Surji, Ajangaon in 1803. Holkar was defeated and to sign the Treaty of Rajpur Ghat in 1805. A British troop of 6,000 would be stationed in the territory of the Peshwa. The Peshwa would include all Europeans from his services and would transfer the right to recover Chauth from the Nizam to the Britishers. So these treaties also, the Treaty of Surji, Anjangaon, and the Treaty of Rajpur Ghat, they also have similar conditions. Okay, the treaty was again very, very disgraceful. All right, बहुत disgraceful था, but again the Marathas were not really able to present a united front. All right, and as a result they had to lose. Okay, so separate treaties were signed with separate, you can say, separate Maratha chiefs, and they have all lost to the Britishers one by one. Now, lastly, we have the Third Anglo-Maratha War. So, the British attack on Pindaris during the tenure of Governor General Hastings was seen as a provocation by the Marathas. Okay, first of all, let me tell you who the Pindaris were. Now, Pindaris were basically a group of warriors, you can say, but they were not really like armed forces warriors, they were not. So they were a group of militia, all right. They were a tribal setup group, they were a group of militia, and they would be attaching themselves, or they would be fighting from, you know, whichever king they have chosen. So they would be fighting from that king's side, okay. And instead of getting paid, so they were not paid for their fight, or they were not paid for their services, they would be allowed to plunder, right? So suppose I am a Maratha, and if the Pindaris have sided with me in a war, they have helped me in a war, once the war was over, instead of me paying them, they would be left free to plunder and loot. This is how they survived. So initially, they were involved with the Mughals, but later on they became involved with the Marathas. So when the Britishers attacked the Pindaris, it was seen as a provocation to the Marathas because the Pindaris were attached with the Marathas. Okay, so 1817, Marathas attempted to overthrow the Britishers but were defeated. Okay, now, so as a result, what happened? The Peshwa was relocated to a small establishment of Bithur near Kanpur, and he was given a small pension, and all his other territories were annexed. The Maharaja of Satara was restored as the ruler of his territory after the defeat as a princely state. So this is exactly what happened in the Third War. All right. Third War, finally we see that the Marathas have lost ultimately, and they have been reduced to what? They've been reduced to pension of the Britishers. All right, so they have been pensioned off. They've just been given a pension by the Britishers. Okay. Now, however, 1848, this territory, the territory of Satara, okay, so this was also annexed by the Bombay Presidency under the doctrine of lapse, which basically said that adoption would not be recognized. Bhosle was defeated in the Battle of Sitabuldi, Holkar in the Battle of Mahidpur. The Battle of Bhosle and Holkar also resulted in the acquisition of Maratha kingdoms of Nagpur and Indore by the Britishers, along with Gwalior from Sindhia and Jhansi from the Peshwa. All of these territories now acknowledged British control. So we can see that Marathas have finally given up, but now, so here the Peshwa has given up, and now all the chiefs of the Peshwa, all the Sardars of the Peshwa will eventually be defeated in one battle after the other. Okay, so for example, Bhosle would be defeated in the battle of Sitabuldi, Holkar in the battle of Mahidpur, and defeat of Holkar and Bhosle would result in the acquisition of Nagpur and Indore, and finally the Sindhias of Gwalior and Jhansi, all of them would recognize the British control. All right. So these were your Anglo-Maratha Wars. I really hope that it was clear. So guys, please remember that there are certain things that you must remember whenever you're doing the wars. Please remember the date. Then you should remember who are the participants of the war and who is siding with whom. That is also very important. Remember who is siding with whom. Like for example, in Mysore, you all saw that Nizam and Marathas were siding with Britishers. So remember the participants and who is siding with whom. Then you should remember the course of the war. And ultimately, you have to remember the treaty that was signed. And lastly, what is the outcome of this treaty? Okay. So these are a few things that you must remember when you are doing all of these wars. We have a lot more left to cover. We have the Bengal War, wars which were fought in Bengal. We also have to do the wars which happened with the Sikh. Okay. So we will be focusing on that as well. Okay. So this is it from my side. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and more importantly, I really hope that this video was useful for you, because what we have done is we have, clarified or summarized the wars which have been fought between the between Britishers and the Marathas. All right. So I really hope that you found this video useful. So thank you so much for joining me here. If you still have anything that you want to add, anything you want to ask, any doubts that you have, please feel free to address them in the comment section, and I'll be more than happy to help you with it. Till then, please take care. This is me, Nicky Sinha, signing off.